Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I am delighted to be here with all of you. As he mentioned, I am a Pinterest marketing strategist and manager, and I'm excited to share with you some Pinterest marketing success strategies specifically for TPT sellers and how this particular marketing tool, I think, can be so beneficial for TPT businesses. So first, just to give you a little bit of info about me and who I am, this is my family. I've got three little ones. Rosie, she's 5, PJ, he's 3, and Emmy just turned 1. And before I was doing this, I was a middle school language arts and social studies teacher. And now I am homeschooling mostly my 5-year-old, a little bit my 3-year-old. We're like dabbling with preschool stuff, but we've been doing kindergarten with my 5-year-old, which has been super fun. And yeah, it's been an adventure. As I said, I was a language arts teacher, but I did middle school. So this is my first time actually getting to do the teaching how to read part of language arts. And so that's been fun. I've never done that before. So it's been an exciting journey. Outside of that, we live on a family farm north of Cincinnati. So we spend most of our days kind of playing with all of the animals that we have and yeah, just hanging out together. Okay, diving into Pinterest. So why Pinterest? Why is this a tool that I think TPT sellers and really education focused businesses in general should be utilizing as part of an effective marketing strategy? Now, to kind of dig into that question, I think it's important to establish what Pinterest is primarily and what it's used for. Contrary to what a lot of people believe, Pinterest is not actually a social media platform. Although we kind of lump it together with social media in our head, I think maybe because it's visual, there's, pictures and videos, and it feels very similar to, say, Facebook or Instagram, but it's not actually a social media platform. And the way that the algorithms work and everything like that are very different than the way they work on a social media platform. It's instead a visual search engine. So Pinterest actually, in the way that it operates and the way that it's used by its participants, is a lot more similar to, like, say, Google or YouTube than it would be to Instagram or Facebook. So there's different uses for it, different best practices and strategies that we would employ with Pinterest that, would be different than, say, Instagram. As a visual search engine, it is super helpful for expanding the reach of businesses like yours and kind of getting your content and what you have to offer in front of more people that might not have otherwise encountered you. Because there are people, 500 million to, give a give a number to it, that are actively using Pinterest on a monthly basis. And many of those are teachers. They're people that are using Pinterest as a search engine when they need lesson ideas, when they're looking for, classroom management strategies or ideas for decorating their classrooms, or, you name it, whatever teachers are searching for. Many of them are using Pinterest as the search engine through which to do that. So looking at some numbers, 85% of weekly users have made a purchase from Pinterest. 4.2 minutes, that's the number of minutes average time that users are spending on the platform daily. And as a marketing strategist, this kind of tells me that the people that are using Pinterest are really using Pinterest. They're actually spending time looking through the searches that are popping up. They're clicking on things, they're saving things, they're taking time to read the blog posts that the links are connected to. They're using the platform for what it's for, research and searching. 5x, brands that are using Pinterest get statistically 5x the impressions on their products compared to brands that don't. So as TPT sellers, this is significant since your goal is to sell digital products. So what that tells us is that statistically speaking, if you are using Pinterest and you're using it strategically, following some best practices, which we're going to kind of talk about, you're using Pinterest and you're using it well, you are statistically more likely to get higher numbers of people that are clicking on your website links, that are saving your pins, that are looking, heading over to your TPT store, and ultimately that are purchasing your products, compared to sellers that are not using Pinterest or that are only using, other social media platforms as their marketing tools. So for me, that number speaks for itself, just in terms of the importance and the value that Pinterest offers to TPT sellers. And then finally, the last statistic I want to share is that 96% of Pinterest searches are unbranded. And so basically what this means is that when somebody has typed in something and it, all the pins pop up on Pinterest, 96% of them don't have a website URL on them, don't have somebody's logo. They're not branded. They're just a picture, maybe some text. And why that is significant to you, and we'll kind of dig into a little bit more the importance of branding later. But branded content, branded pins is a way for you as a business owner to establish yourself as an expert in your particular field. And it's a way for you to foster familiarity and recognition amongst the audience of people that might be looking for your specific content. And since 96% of content on Pinterest is not being branded, which just makes like my hair stand up as as a marketing person, it just makes me want to cringe. That's, I mean, terrible for all the people that are not branding their content, but that's really, really good for you, because there's a huge opportunity gap there for someone like each of you to come in and promote the products and the resources and the expertise that you have, and to really establish yourself as the expert and the one that people recognize, because most people they're not branding in the way that would make them recognizable. All right, so I have 3 main strategic best practices that I want to kind of unpack for you today. And my goal in this is to kind of give you some good starting points, some good easy to implement today kind of tips and best practices that would give you a good footing for building a marketing strategy on Pinterest that is actually doing something helpful for you. And so the first strategic tip that I have is pin with the top of funnel in mind. And this tip kind of is getting at what the purpose of Pinterest and the way that users are interacting with the platform. So as I kind of mentioned at the beginning, Pinterest is a visual search engine. And so when a user, we'll give the example since everyone here is a TPT seller, when teachers are using Pinterest, they are using it primarily, as a research tool. So if they, let's say, have a new unit that's coming up and they're looking for ideas, lesson resources, maybe read aloud books that could go with it, or science lab activities, you name it. They're looking for something for their units. They might go to Pinterest as a place to research whatever question, whatever topic they have, to gather ideas, to gain inspiration, and to collect information to use in, whatever way they so choose. It is for this reason, because it's primarily a research tool where people are collecting ideas, it is an amazing tool as the beginning of your marketing funnel. So that's why we say it's a top of funnel tool primarily, because it's expanding your reach, the umbrella of people that you can meet and interact with and that can encounter your business so much farther, because people are searching for specific things that you provide. So people that may not encounter you if you're only on TPT or you're only on Instagram could encounter you through strategic Pinterest pins. And then they'll begin to recognize you, begin to follow you, and hopefully ultimately, down the funnel, if you've got a funnel established, will buy from you. So like I said, Pinterest is great for expanding your reach. It's a good, hello, first introduction with new people. It is amazing for doing things like growing your email list, sharing your freebies, offering blog posts and, valued content that establishes you as an industry expert. Pinterest is not usually the point of sale. It can happen. And that's why I said at the beginning, 86% of daily Pinterest users have bought from Pinterest at least once. So people do buy directly from Pinterest. It's just not typically the way that users are interacting with the platform. Most people, when they go to Pinterest, they're in the mindset of, I want to research, I want to collect ideas. They're not necessarily in the mindset of, I want to buy today right now. And so when you are thinking about your own Pinterest strategy and what to pin, that's important to keep in mind, that most people are coming to the platform not yet in a space where they are ready to swipe the credit card and make a purchase. They are coming to look for ideas. They're coming to look for information. They want advice. They want, just different ideas and things like that. And so with that in mind, I recommend when you're putting together a plan for, what you're going to pin, what your pins are going to look like, that 80% of the pins that you create would be directed to some sort of free value content that is going to offer, something to your audience. So if you are an early elementary teacher, you might pin a blog post that offers classroom management tips for K through 2 or something like that, that is giving them something, it's giving them value, it's giving them ideas that they can use. And it's showing them, hey, I know what I'm talking about. I am an expert in my field. It's building that relationship of trust and familiarity. And in those blog posts that you might be posting, you can include, links to TpT resources that make sense in the context of what you're explaining and the value that you're offering. So 80% I would recommend going to that free value-packed content, blog posts, free downloads, podcast episodes, things like that. And 20% pinning directly to a sales page. So this would be like when you create a pin that goes directly to a TpT product link. Now, when I talk to a lot of TpT sellers, and I've got several clients that are TpT sellers, and I'll interact with other people and audit different people's accounts, and I often hear the same thing. I'll meet with people and they'll say, Maria, I'm doing Pinterest. I have so many pins and I am getting no results. Like, I have no website clicks. No one is saving my pins. No one is buying my products from these pins. Nothing is happening. What's going on? And when I actually dig into their accounts and I look at their pins, almost every single time that I hear that, the reason is because almost all, if not every single pin that they have created, links directly to a TpT product sales page. And because of the way that users use Pinterest, those pins don't tend to convert well, because people see sales links and they automatically just keep scrolling, because that's not the mindset that they're in when they're using this platform. Versus if you were to post a blog post that had some information, answered a question, and had maybe 2 or 3 product links in it, those pins are a lot more likely to get saved. They're a lot more likely to get website clicks. And then ultimately, people are a lot more likely to actually buy the products mentioned in the blog post, because you've given them a little extra information to go with it, not just, here's a picture of my product, even if it's the best product in the world, now buy it. So I highly recommend, with top of funnel in mind. Keep in mind the way that people are using Pinterest and what Pinterest is used for. The 80-20 rule is a good one to follow. All right, my Pinterest strategy tip number 2, keywords are king. So again, it's a search engine. So if you want people to see the content that you're pinning, it needs to be easily searchable. So it needs to use keywords that people are actively looking for in Pinterest. Now, when it comes to Pinterest, there are 2 different types of keywords that the platform uses to rank and categorize pins that are created and then push them out into people's feeds. And those are called pillar keywords and long tail keywords. Pillar keywords tend to be like 2 to 3 words. And these would be kind of those big anchor topics that are related to your specific TpT store and the things that you offer. A long tail keyword would be more of like a 4 to 5 word phrase that elaborates on a pillar keyword, gives a little more information, gets a little more specific. So I put an example here. For example, a pillar keyword, if you are a TpT store that creates science content for middle school teachers, you might have science lesson as one of your pillar keywords. That's something that middle school science teachers are probably going to look for. That's an easy researched thing that they would be typing into the Pinterest search bar. A long tail keyword would be science lesson plans middle school. So it kind of elaborates a little bit more on that original topic. When you identify, so let me back up a second. Keywords are key. We need to know our keywords. And I'm going to give you some tips for finding good keywords and how to put a list of good keywords together so that you know what your target audience is searching for on Pinterest and how to create strategic pins that are going to rank because they're using those. I'll give you the tips for that in a second. But once you have that list of keywords, we want to incorporate them into all parts of our Pinterest strategy. So you would want to have these keywords present on the overlay text on your pin graphic. You would want them to be present in the pin descriptions, in your profile description, and in the way that you name your pin boards. The other bonus, and this is kind of my bonus tip, is when you take the time to really do some good keyword research on Pinterest, not only will it allow you to be more strategic with the pins that you create and your Pinterest strategy, but it's also going to give you some really good ideas for blog content. So if you're trying to create new and fresh content that you can put out on Pinterest, having a good list of keywords will give you some ideas to do that. All right, so how do you actually find the keywords? There's a few ways. There's a few different tools. One of them is just to use the Pinterest search bar. So if you go into Pinterest and you type in a pillar keyword, it will populate a list of suggested searches based on that pillar keyword. And all of those suggested searches are long tail keywords that people are actually in real time searching for on Pinterest. That's why they are top ranking. That's why they are popping up, is because people today are looking for them. So again, going back to my example of a middle school science resource, if you type science lesson into the search bar, it's going to populate some other ideas. So you might see things like science lesson activities, science lesson easy, science lesson for substitutes, et cetera, et cetera. And all of those are going to be long tail keywords that you're going to want to take note of and add to your keyword list, because those are things that people right now are searching for and they're relevant to the people in your target audience. The next place that you can find some keyword ideas are in I like to call them bubbles. They're like the little colored blocks that you can kind of see them in this. I don't know if you can see my arrow, but you can kind of see them in that picture. The little colored blocks that pop up under the search bar in Pinterest. And those are guided search terms that are related to your pillar keywords. So similar to the extended list of suggested searches, the bubbles that Pinterest creates are just additional words and categories that people are looking for that relate in some way to whatever pillar keyword you typed into the search bar. So those would be another thing to take note of and to add to your keyword list. The next best practice that you can implement when it comes to looking for keywords is to observe the top ranking pins. So, again, if you type in science lessons, if that's what I did, and Pinterest is going to populate my feed with pins that relate to that search, I'm going to take some time and actually scroll through the pins that have shown up. And I'm going to read the text. So I'm going to see what are people putting in their pin descriptions? What are people putting on the overlay over the pictures? Because those pins are ranking and they're ranking well, or they wouldn't be showing up with that search. So those phrases and those words that they're incorporating would be something else that you could add to your list of keywords to kind of help you in your strategic planning. And then the last place that I recommend looking as you're doing your keyword research is the ads dashboard. And this can be accessed through a Pinterest business account. And this is, I guess, an important side note. If you don't have a Pinterest business account, I highly, highly, highly recommend setting up a business account and not a personal one. It's free and it's not difficult to set up, but there are several key features and analytics information, things like that you get access to through a business account that you just don't have access to in a personal account. You can, even if you already have a personal account, you can switch it and make it into a business account if you don't want to start a brand new account. But I highly recommend making sure that whatever you're using for your TPT business on Pinterest is a business account, because there's just a lot of extra features that will come in handy if that's what you have. One of them being Ads Dash. So the Ads Dashboard it's the place where if you wanted to create a paid advertisement, use ad dollars, you could go into Ads Dash and make an advertisement. Now, for keyword research purposes, you don't actually have to pay any money and make an advertisement, but you can use you can still use the tool and it's a helpful tool. So what you would do is you would go into your ads dashboard, which can be accessed through your business hub and your business account. And you would start setting up an ad, kind of pretend that you're starting an ad. And, it'll ask you some questions about, what your ad topic is and, things like that. So you'll kind of fill in the information. And then it will populate some information with keyword data relating to the topic that you are making your pretend ad about. So you can pick anything that kind of relates, that if you have some ideas for pins that you want to try, you can do that and then see the keyword data. It'll give you, the top ranking keywords that are related to whatever topic you're creating for. It'll tell you how many users are actually searching for those keywords, which I think is helpful information. And then there's some other analytics that it'll provide as well. And you can access all of that before you ever have to insert a credit card or anything like that to pay for an advertisement. So you can kind of go like 60% in creating an ad. And then if you don't want to actually make the ad, you can bail, but you can get the information just by kind of going through the process. And I find that to be incredibly helpful as well. So those are all of the different ways that I think are really helpful for generating keywords and putting together a keyword list. Now, I don't think this is something that you need to spend hours and hours and hours on. I think if you're kind of data nerdy like I am, it's tempting to do, but I don't know that that's necessary. But I think, taking, an hour or so to do some good keyword research for your store is a good idea, and to put together a good list where, you've got, I would recommend 10 to 15 pillar keywords. Maybe shoot for 10. That's like a good starting place of pillar keywords for your specific store and your expertise. And then from those pillar keywords, you would want to have another 5 to 10 long tail keywords that elaborate on each pillar keyword. And so I would put together that list, and then I like to go back and review my keyword list and kind of revamp my keyword research quarterly, because sometimes things change, especially in education. There's, different seasons where different trends might come up. Back to school is one where the keywords that are trending might be different than, let's say, like winter break. So I think a couple times a year going in and kind of doing another set of keyword research is a good idea, just to stay on top of seasonal trends as well. And this is just kind of a quick side note, but it relates. When it comes to seasonal trends, if you're pinning something that is seasonal, like it's a back to school resource, or it's something for Valentine's Day, or whatever, it's kind of timely for a point in the year, you want to make sure that those pins are posted 45 to 60 days prior to when whatever that seasonal product is. Otherwise, Pinterest is kind of funny in the way the algorithm works. It can take a little while for pins to actually get cataloged. And so if you're posting a pin for the back to school the week before school starts, it's not going to perform for you that year. So just kind of in your planning purposes, 45 to 60 days is a good window for seasonal stuff. Hold on 1 second. Somehow I skipped. There we go. Okay. All right, last tip, and we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but brand everything. Absolutely brand everything. Remember that each pin is like a billboard for your business, and it's a way for you to establish yourself as an expert in your niche and to create content that people start to see and recognize. The more it pops up, the more they'll be like, oh, okay, I know this store. I've read their blog posts before. I've purchased their products before. And then they're going to be more likely to continue saving and using the things that you are pinning. I highly recommend putting together some templates for yourself, custom templates. You don't need a ton. I mean, you could have anywhere from like 4 to 7 pin templates that you just reuse over and over again. Obviously, you would change like the images and the text on them, maybe tweak your colors, but just have kind of a basic layout. And the benefit of this is, one, it saves you a lot of time. You're not reinventing the wheel every single time, which is always nice. And two, it helps with that like building familiarity and recognition piece of, branding. So I recommend doing templates. And when you're putting your templates together, some things to think about are, what colors are you going to use? what keywords are you going to incorporate into each of them, making sure that your website URL is somewhere on there. If you want to use a logo, you can add your logo. And then which fonts are you going to use? A quick note about fonts. I see a lot of people that have super fun, like scripty cursive fonts as part of their brand kit. And I love those personally. I think they're so pretty. But they can be difficult to read on Pinterest pins, especially in the mobile version, which is how most people are using Pinterest. So I tend to steer people towards not using scripty cursive fonts and sticking with more traditional, very easy to read fonts. If you do want to incorporate some sort of fun cursive fonts, just to add a little spice into the way that your template looks, absolutely go for it. But I would just recommend not putting your keywords in script or cursive. Make sure that you use it for kind of non-important words. So if I were to create a pin title that said science lessons for middle school, I might put the word for in cursive just to kind of break it up and make it look fun. But I would definitely want science lessons in middle school because those would be keywords to be very easy to read. So that's just kind of a little tip when it comes to creating your graphics. All right, so that is kind of my final strategic tip that I wanted to leave you with. Hopefully through all of that, you've got some good, like tangible takeaways, things that you can implement today to kind of start building your own Pinterest marketing strategy. But if you're hearing all of this and you're thinking, okay, Maria, I hear you, Pinterest is important, but I have absolutely no time to do this and no desire to learn about pillar and long tail keywords, and this is not my thing. That's great. I can help you with that. So as part of my business, I offer Pinterest management. So this would basically, what this looks like is that everything I've shared with you today, I can come in and do for you, plus some extra strategic things that we didn't have time for today that I offer for people as part of Pinterest management. So basically it takes the work of Pinterest management completely off of your plate and ensures that you are, getting consistent Pinterest content that is out there with branded pins that are created and scheduled in strategic intervals so that they perform well, that all of your profile descriptions, board descriptions, everything like that is optimized for Pinterest, and that you would be receiving a monthly analytics report as part of each of my packages, so that we're, constantly, I love data. So we're like constantly evaluating, what are we doing? Is it working? If what is, what isn't, let's tweak, let's keep, improving. So part of that is a monthly analytics report. I do have 3 different tiers just because I think different businesses have different needs. And so that's something that I would be happy to chat through any, one-on-one with any of you if you are interested, just to kind of help you discern, maybe where's the best place to start for where you're at with your business. But they all kind of operate in the same way. It's just different amounts of content that would be created for you based on which tier it is. And I also offer blog management because, as we've mentioned, blogging and Pinterest often go really hand in hand, because to do Pinterest well, you really need to be putting fresh new content out there on a regular basis. And blogging is one of the best ways for education-focused businesses to be putting new content out there that is speaking to their audience and is highlighting your products. That's one of the things that I love so much about blog content for TpT sellers. And it's kind of a more user-friendly way to share your links to your TpT store, which is obviously the goal. The goal is to drive people to your store and ultimately get purchases. You want paying clients. Well, a good way to do that is through a blog post where you are featuring some of your products within the blog post. But the pin itself is driving to blog content rather than a sales link. So that's another option if that's something that anyone is interested in. And as a special thank you just for having me here tonight, I'm so grateful to be with all of you and to get to share some of this. So if any of you are interested in Pinterest or blog management services, I'd be happy to offer you 50% off your first month of any of the packages. All you would need to do is send me an email, and my email is listed there. It's marialees.va@gmail.com. Send me an email and let me know that you're interested, and we can set up a time to chat and just discuss some of your business goals, kind of unpack some of the tangibles of the different packages and see what would be a good fit. And then obviously after that, we'll put together a strategic plan and start getting you increased traffic and ultimately more profit for your business through Pinterest and blogging. All right. That is the bulk of everything I had to share with you. So I am happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.